Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Presence Podcast, where I interview the most inspiring and interesting people in real estate. I'm your host, Malti, and today we have the honor of hosting a true luminary in the world of luxury real estate. Joining us is Jeff Biebuyck, the founder of Frontgate Real Estate. Jeff is consistently ranked among the top 1% of agents in the world, and he's one of the most insightful, innovative, and forward-thinking agents that I know. So I'm really excited to have him on. And today we'll talk about Jeff's journey from his roots in Detroit to becoming the CEO of Dreamline Entertainment and finally starting Frontgate Real Estate and growing it into one of the leading teams here in LA. We'll dive into his innovative approach to the real estate market, and we'll do a deep dive on his marketing strategy. So get comfortable, grab a snack, and without further ado, let's welcome Jeff to the show. Welcome, Jeff. Good to have you on.
Malti, thank you. Luminary. I like that. Never been called that before. I've been called a lot of things, but not that.
Really? Well, I'm excited to dive in. There's a lot we can talk about on the marketing side. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you about your founding story. Why did you decide to move from Detroit to LA? And how did you break into the luxury real estate market here?
It was actually all by mistake. Everything. I think my whole life has been my mistake. And because there was no meaningful purpose of anything. And I know that sounds really weird, but I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants on a lot of things because it's fun and it's dangerous and it's not boring, I guess I'm like the adrenaline junkie for that type of stuff, and a lot of people around me, it scares the crap out of them, like business partners, my wife, but it's also challenging and, you got to push stuff to the limits and push for change. Cause if there's no change, there's no growth. And if there's no growth, it's just sedimentary nothingness. And, what for? I just want to live as many lives as possible, try as many things, and experience as much stuff as I can and meet as many cool people as well, and hopefully I can, we can change each other's lives in some, way, shape or form or significant way. So just makes life a little funner that way,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you've done that, right? You started as the CEO of Dreamline Entertainment and then you moved into real estate. What attracted you to real estate and why do you keep building in this industry?
So I came out here, I used to play in bands. I was in high school. I'd go at night school and then I'd go take I had a part-time job, at General Motors. And within 5 years, I became a mechanical engineer. And this is when you had to actually draw stuff with a pencil and you had to actually do, calculus and trigonometry. I didn't know how to do any of them. I just kind of faked it. I think I actually, faked a lot of stuff on the resume at the time just to get the job. And I just figured out how to do it once I got in there and figured out who I had to talk to and who I had to cheat off of or whatever. But, but I got there.
Yeah.
And I made it happen. And I didn't go by the standard rules of, here's everything that you need to be. I just literally went up to the boss guy and said, just give me a shot. I'll file the papers. I'll work in the room in the file room, you had to put everything away, but just give me a shot and, and I'll work my way up the top. I promise you. And I did. And it was just, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue, but I figured it out. Playing in bands at night, ended up playing in the circuit out there. I got an opportunity to come out to Los Angeles, and played the Troubadour for the first show. I think I had $50 in my pocket and, I just came out and I think I drove up Mulholland and I saw a palm tree and mountains for the first time because you don't see that.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it and it was like literally like that Bob Seger song, like a Hollywood Nights, just playing in your head coming from Detroit. Like I'm never going back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just kind of fell in love with Los Angeles deeply because I was always into the Doors and, John Lennon and, Elton John and all those bands that played the Troubadour. So it was like this weird, holy crap. It happened. Did that for 10 years, toured around, had a blast, got exhausting, cause touring with, 5 smelly guys in a van for, 5-10 years in a row is, really fun at the beginning and it's really old at the end,
Yeah.
We ended up touring like in Japan and like, all over the country. Had a record deal, worked with Gene Simmons as my manager, all this fun stuff that we did. Um, and, I met my wife and she got pregnant and we had a kid. And it was just like, I've seen too many of my friends choose the path of being on the road and leaving the family behind and not seeing their kid walk for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, all right. I had fun with this. Now it's almost selfish. And I got this other thing I got to do and I got to put full energy and effort into it.
Yeah.
So now, here I was, this nomad hippie living off of couches and sleeping in cars some days and, just living the life of what artists do to, I have this beat up piece of shit truck and this girlfriend that's not even my wife yet and a kid coming and I got to get serious, And somebody gave me Richard Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Great book.
And it's a great book. And that's what got me to real estate because it was that whole thing, is a house an asset or a liability? And of course, everyone's going to say it's an asset. Well, it depends. Is it an income producing property or is it a house you live in? Because that's going to be a liability, versus an asset.
Yeah.
But yeah, that got me into real estate and interested into flipping houses and just kind of fixing stuff up. And my wife and I got into that. It was really fun. And one thing I noticed when I was doing it is that, well, two things I noticed. One, the amount of money that we were paying real estate agents, I was like, holy crap, like that's a big chunk of change here. What's going on? And I don't mind doing that if they do a good job, but a lot of them didn't do a good job.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, I could just do this myself. So I got a real estate license just to save on commissions, to be honest with you. I was one of those annoying people. And then from the past life of, being a musician and, in the entertainment world, ended up kind of getting into it. Oh, and then there was that whole, I forgot to tell you about the Dreamline thing. So in between all that, I was in the, into movie distribution company, for Dreamline Entertainment. We started that in our garage and got up to 10 warehouses in the Valley and it was awesome. And then Netflix came out and then it wasn't so awesome.
When the disruptor becomes the disrupted. That's funny. So from the time you entered real estate to the point, how long did it take until you felt like you had made it?
I just felt like I made it the day I walked in because I just wanted to be about the client and I wanted to have fun. So a really close friend of mine that was doing it, he's from Australia. He was into it and he said, listen, man, he goes, don't be afraid of the zeros. And what do you mean? He goes, well, 5 million has a lot more zeros than 500,000. And so does the commission check, and everybody puts their pants on at the same time. So if you can get that out of your head and don't get caught up in, I'm going to work my way up to here.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And I was like, well, what do you mean? I have to know how to talk fluently with people. They're going to see me for who I am, which is new at this. And I don't know shit. And they're going to catch me and I'm going to look like an idiot and I'm going to fail. He goes, so just look at him straight in the eye and say, hey, I'm newer, but I got a partner here that knows what he's doing. You like me. I'll be your huckleberry. I'm your boots on the ground, whatever. And I got all this combined years of experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. And this guy sells really expensive stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't I just kind of I like this team partner thing because we can leverage off of each other. And I got a really good business background. And that's when I met Dana, who has been doing this for, 30 years and has this database locally that has sold houses in our area for, 3 times over on 90% of the time. So I said, look, I got something that could work for you, which is, organization. You're working out of a little black book. You have no CRM. You have no organization. You've been doing great by the seat of your pants, but what if we organize this shit a little bit and put it together and make it a really smooth marketing system and get top of mind and do this cool stuff. So she did. So we teamed up and one of the reasons we created a team and for everybody at Frontgate is to offer them that same experience that I had when I started and take that valuable information that was given to me, which is don't be afraid of the zeros.
Yeah.
And you have a whole tribe of people behind you at Frontgate, including myself, Dana, and 20 other members on our team that are all resources of the best knowledge. And they're all their superpowers are different. A lot of them have their own kryptonite, but their superpowers are awesome. So when someone goes on a listing appointment or meets a client, it's just that combined knowledge and the combined team, success that they could leverage the hell out of. And boy, does it work. And so, yeah, that's kind of how Frontgate came around. It's just that one line,
Yeah. And it's worked. You've built this really successful team. What are some of the most important leadership lessons that you've learned along the way?
Boy, I started working with coaching workman success systems. Guy Burrell Workman, amazing guy, tough as nails, and he just calls it like it is. And there is just no bullshit. You try, you can't pull anything past this guy. Forget it. And it's funny because a lot of real estate agents come in, just like when they go on listing appointments or trying to prove themselves, so they just overtalk. And usually when people overtalk, it's insecurity. So when I first met him, he invited me to this event, and it was in front of all the national coaches. And there's a ton of really incredible coaches out there. And I was the only sucker that was a client, and I was Burrell's actual coaching client. And I just noticed there's no other coaching clients here. I'm like, what's going on? And they're laughing, going, hey, you're going to go on the hot seat tomorrow. And they're like, you'll be fine. I'm like, what's this hot seat stuff? Long story short, I get up on the stage and Burrell breaks me down with this Navy SEAL guy that was like speaking there about leadership, and some lady that is, a psychotherapist that has worked in the Pentagon, like this crazy, like mind screwing stuff, like go to like the top psychologists and team leaders. And they put me on there, and there's like, so you're a team leader now. How's that feel? I'm like, yeah, it's good. I love it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like kind of saying me. And they're like, And just, so, tell us about, why you're doing all this stuff. Why don't you have people doing it for you? Why aren't you delegating? And I was like, well, because, at the end of the day, I just feel like I can do it better. I've been doing it long enough, and I can't afford to have somebody screw it up. And they're like, so you're Superman, and you're just going around saving your company and saving the day. And I guess you could do it better than anyone. Do you really believe you could do this better than anyone? And I was thinking to myself at the time, yeah, I do, because I've been doing this so long. But one thing that it taught me, there are other people out there that can not only do it better than you, can do it 10 times better than you, and you can learn a lot from them.
Yeah. So
anybody that you get and work with, like we work together, with Luxury Presence, we've been with you forever. And, I love that you're so forward thinking, and that you're so open to ideas, and I can come in and drive your staff crazy. Go, Marty, I got this crazy PPC thing. We got to try it. And if it works, you can just blow it out to the whole network. And you let me just get in there and play and test stuff out. And, your team is incredible, and we have fun. We literally go back and forth. We really like each other a lot, and we come back and see what works, what doesn't work. And then, just try to create, a product in a sense to make it work. So I like to surround myself with people like that where it's not only challenging, but I get to learn, from them. And I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. I definitely want to be the dumbest guy in the room, in every room I'm in. So, and that's kind of what I strive for.
Yeah. I love that advice. And it's the only way to scale. Right?
Yeah.
It's finding great people who are better than you in some capacity, and bringing them on. Real estate is a pretty all-consuming and demanding and high-stakes profession. So I'm curious how you personally stay energized and motivated day in and day out.
I don't. I get up every day, 5:30, and I get up excited. And I always have something that is intriguing or interesting that I can do to provide value for our agents and for our clients. and something that's going to move the dial, and just really dig deep in it. I'm not a big sports guy. I don't watch, I don't even know when the frick was in the Super Bowl this year. I watch Academy Awards. I didn't even watch it because I don't watch it because I haven't seen a movie this year. So I don't, so I get so tuned into my hobby, which is kind of my job, that I love it so much that, it's not a job to me.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh my God, you work so hard. You're working 14 hours a day." I said, "No, man, I'm digging it. I have energy. It's not burning me out. I am not burnt out." I get a little bit shiny object syndrome with getting overstimulated. And sometimes I just sit there with a big pile of shit going, "Oh God, what did I do? I signed up for this and I did this and I'm trying to figure that out." That's my biggest difficulty, is that I just gotta, learn how to, use an agile and figure out what's the most important, which is the money-making activities, and then work myself backwards. So I always have to every quarter reset and look at my big pile of ideas and, try to grab the top ones from the top. And hopefully I didn't spend too much money trying to figure it out in the meantime.
So I can relate to that, by the way. I think any CEO who's full of ideas can. We got to bring it back to the reality of the business and what's realistic and what can be implemented. But I know that feeling of having a long list of ideas and driving my team crazy at times with all the new things I want to do.
Dude, you're like Iron Man. Like, you need a Pepper Potts that literally just, calm down.
Yeah.
Or just kind of bring it back. Like, Tony, you can't do that,
Yeah.
But that's what makes,
But it sounds like you found someone in Dana who's very complimentary to you, and I found someone in our COO who's very complimentary to my skill set. And when I want to go and play offense, he plays defense. He looks around corners, does the work that needs to be done to keep the business running, and I get to go and test new ideas and be out front with customers and things like that. So
yeah, it's super important. Yeah, Dana definitely is my Pepper Potts in the sense of that, and she yells at me all the time. It's so funny. If you look, we're like brother and sister, and she knows me better than anybody from a business perspective. And, if we're a reality show, people would just be, "Oh my God, this is nuts," but it's good. We keep each other balanced.
Yeah. So the market environment obviously has been tough over the last year, and you have a lot of agents on your team, a lot of new agents. And I would love to hear what advice you are giving them for how to succeed in this market environment.
There's a lot of things have changed this year. We went from doing $250 million worth of sales down to 68% less this year. We unfortunately are at the epicenter of the front line of the aftermath of the Woolsey fires in Calabasas. So not only have all the insurance providers pulled out, they don't even insure in a lot of our areas because we're close to Malibu. We're in rural areas. A lot of stuff is up against open space. And, I really started second guessing, are we doing something wrong? What's going on here? But when I really looked at what canceled and why there was a 68% decrease in our business, it was mansion tax that happened, recently. That was fun since we do high end. And that was the fire insurability. So, what happens is, sometimes you think you're like, Superman and there is no kryptonite. Well, we got it shoved right up our ass. And it was tough because I had to look at how we did business and restructure everything. And if I didn't get our overhead down, sustain that gap and help the agent's mindset to stay in the game, we're toast. And this last year was like one of the hardest, challenging years I think I've ever had in the business. I'm so grateful for it, but I don't want to ever repeat that again because it was just brutal,
Yeah. But in terms of mindset, what do you find helps your agents? What do you have them focus on? And what are some of the activities that you recommend they do regularly?
So we start with agents, depending if they're brand new, there's a spot for everybody. And depending if you're doing 20, 30, 40 million, some of my agents do 20, 30, $40 million a year in sales, on our team. and some do none, and they have to start from somewhere. And, the newer agents are probably easier to work with, I'll be honest with you, because they're moldable and they don't know what this looks like. They don't know it's a down market. They don't know anything, which is great because you can teach them the positive and the good habits compared to agents that have been doing this for a while to break their habits. I've learned not to try to break their habits or change them because 9 times out of 10 people aren't going to change. So I have to identify their superpowers and figure out how to help them on our team, make it happen. And, even Dana, she barely goes into our CRM. She does, she's getting better at it, but she doesn't do anything in our CRM. She hates anything technology wise, has no clue how to do it, and doesn't want to do it. So we just kind of figured out a way to focus on her superpower, which is selling houses. And boy, is she good at it, and there's other team members on my team that are the same. Yeah. So we team them up with younger agents, get them some VAs, whatever it takes, and just kind of move the dial a little bit. But, at the end of the day, Malti, I think what's happening is this full circle thing of what's happening that I see on the market is that everyone's going after this pay-per-click lead and paying for Zillow and just looking for this business with strangers. And business with strangers is fine, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
And you should always be looking for new people to do business with. But what a lot of people don't realize is that just because someone's looking for a house and you get them as a pay-per-click lead or a Zillow does not mean that you owe them anything or they owe you anything. They don't owe you shit. And you don't owe them anything. But the thing is, like a lot of people, hey, I met you, you're in my database, you're mine now. And if you sell with anyone else, I'm going to get really upset. Well, good luck. I mean, everybody's got a real estate license nowadays, You're going to have to fight it over their kid, or their uncle, brothers, cousins, sisters, aunt, whatever. So what we really try to do is, we have all the agents do this thing called the wedding list. And it's like, guys, just get out a piece. I'll give you a spreadsheet. I just want to put names on there. And I want you to invite people. If you had a big ass wedding in 250 people, I want you to put their names and their spouse's name or partner's names, and you're going to have to email them an invite. You're going to probably text them, say, make sure you're coming. And you're also going to need their address to put that in the mail. So I want you to take this week and create your wedding list. And you can go up to 250. If you get it up to 50, great. If you get up to 70, fine. But just fill it out as far as you can go. And then I'll help you show you some tricks to even fill it out more. And the rule of thumb is just, people that already know, love, and trust you. They don't have to be best friends. You'd have to just be able to recognize, oh, hey, Sally, how's it going? Thanks for coming. But it doesn't have to be people you're super close to, but these are the people that you're going to now hyper focus on earning their trust. And it doesn't mean they're your client. It means you just got a list of people that you have to go work. So what we do with our agents is once they get that list together, we help them build it. And it's like, hey, Jeff, I only got 100. Great. Well, do you know if we could put one a day, every day, if you just add one more person, and I'll show you how to do it, that's 7 people a week. And that's, 28, 30 people a month. Then in 4 months, you got 120 people to your 100. And now you almost got your 250. So we're going to set that as a goal. And I'm not going to let you fail. And if you get stuck, I'll help you figure out, is that a reasonable goal? Yeah, I could add one person.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. But, when you do that, we'll send a postcard once you get to that level for our agents every 2 weeks. There's a postcard of the production for the team. Just listed, just sold cards, local happenings, paper shredding events. We take that list and we also do retargeting. So every time they go on and they're shopping for shoes on Zappos or, they're on social media, there's a sponsored ad that they get to see that agent. And not only that, we just have them in the SOI. We invite them to events. We have 4 events a year, and we have a ton of just information for home valuations and just, really inbound marketing strategies, not outbound. Nobody's calling expired leads or knocking on doors or anything. This is just truly building up.
Yeah.
And if that's how Dan and I built our business and it worked. So I know it works for other people, and we've been able to turn the dial and triple and, quadruple our agents' production based on this SOI, because no one is going to be able to take this away from you. Not a new rule, not another competitor, not a Zillow, nobody else. You've earned this relationship. This is going to set you up for life if you just do this simple strategy. And yeah, you just go to work on it. It's pretty amazing on the return of business that you get.
Yeah. And just to explain this to our audience in some more detail, the mailers have QR codes on them, right?
Correct.
And you're sending them to a page on your website, which has a tracking pixel, which is then used to retarget them with ads on various websites across the internet where they're browsing. What are the other components of how you market your agents online or offline?
I'm really trying to get them into video. I always come, like we were talking earlier, I always come across the shiny new toys, but some of them really stand out to me. And I have a lot of buddies that have been in the industry for a while, and they're creatives and they come up with stuff, and we all come up with stuff. And a couple times, I love when they're like, okay, I'm on my 10th idea and we're going to go fundraise this and da-da-da. But a couple of them that I think is really cool is Full Steam. And Full Steam is really neat because it's hard for a real estate agent just to go on a camera or walk and do the typical, here I'm at a house, what's the first thing come out? And I tell my agents, don't say, hey guys, please don't say, hey guys, because everybody says, hey guys, So this actually set it up in a format, a video format, that half of the screen is a person who is basically Ryan, the guy that is running the company, or it could be me that can go in and run the scripts. And I'm going to go in there and say, okay, hey, Malty, you got this killer property. Tell me, who do you think the buyer for this property is? And who do you think that's going to be? And then you just answer it. And I go, great, awesome. Now I want you to tell me, what are your three favorite features on this property? Just talk to me like you're talking to a friend.
Yeah.
So what happens is you're just all of a sudden in this interview and you're talking to the camera. You forget that you're doing the hey guys thing, and you send them the imagery from the property. And next thing you know, it's happening behind you and you're pitching it. They literally, I think it's like, I have a coupon code if anybody wants to get in on it. I think you can get it down to like a couple $100 per video, but it's a customized personal video for a property to pitch your listings or anybody else's listings on their team or whatever that let you do it. That just takes away that uncomfortableness of getting on a camera. And it's really cool. And I just did a couple of them and I blasted them out. I just talked to the camera like it was as I was talking to you right now.
Yeah.
And turned out really cool. And so if you guys ever want a connection, check out Full Steam, and maybe somewhere here in the podcast that I think there's a QR code that you can scan and get a discount. But yeah, I think it's just all going to be video based. Look, you're trying to build relationship. And if you are trying to do business with strangers, or you're dealing with people that you dealt with before, man, the best thing in the world, I started doing this. Like, we have listings, and instead of sending a listing report, hey, we had your property, it was in the Wall Street Journal and it got 20 hits on Zillow and blah, blah, blah. And I can send that in an email. Sometimes they don't see it. Sometimes it take time to read it. But if I just do a quick, Loom or bomb, and you're my client, say, hey, Malty, it's Jeff. I'm just letting you know. Yeah, and I did one last night. I go, I know it's 12 o'clock at night, but I'm up late working on your stuff. But check this out. I just got you a Zillow showcase listing, and this is what it looks like. And I'm sharing my screen, and it's me in the corner. And I'm like, if you have any questions, let me know, but I just want to make sure you got this. And it goes to them in an email, and you see me, blah, blah, blah. They click it open. They felt like they talked to me.
Yeah.
Instead of an email. And that is cool. And then there's no obligation. I could just talk and they don't have to talk back. And, but I got the point across, and I got to deliver. Now think about that. The guy was, Jeff was up at 12:30 last night working on my stuff. And, This is pretty cool. He's going to remember that a lot more than a dumb email. So,
yeah. You also have a newsletter you send regularly. Mm-hmm. I just received it, I think this morning or last night.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. I really enjoy receiving it. It's really good. What
did you like about it the most? I'm just curious because you're as a receiver.
Well, I read it as a marketer. And so I look at it from a marketer's perspective in the sense of, is the content going to resonate with your audience? Obviously, I don't live in your market, so a lot of the content is very hyper local and doesn't necessarily appeal to me, but I know it's going to really appeal to your audience, which are people that live in your market. And I think it's unique. I love how you integrate the blog posts, link back to the website, make that the hub where there's so much local content and lifestyle content, and you're highlighting businesses, you're highlighting certain events taking place. And it's something that I imagine residents of Hidden Hills or Calabasas will look forward to reading, and they'll come back to your website because of the content, which is exactly the right way to do blogging and email marketing. Obviously, you're providing a lot of value. So it's not about you, or it's not about, look at all the great things we've done. It's about how can we give as much value to people who live in our market as possible. And this goes back to what you mentioned earlier about, how do you create a relationship with someone who you've never met? In many cases, they're an online lead, right? They have to get to know you. They have to see you as someone who's an expert who can provide value before they pick up the phone and call you. And I think this is an excellent way of doing it. So I'm curious what kind of results you're seeing, and how you go about actually curating and crafting the content, if that's something that you have someone dedicated in-house or something that you do personally. How do you go about it?
Sure. No, that's actually like a huge, huge part of our marketing mechanism. And, we get, 60% open rates, and we're sending it out to like 10,000 people, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But it took time and it took some effort. We've earned a lot of those. I actually just went on and saw how many people that we brought in this month, and we're bringing in hundreds of people that sign up the newsletter. One thing you guys did, I was going to tell you, is the Google sign-in form. I was kind of like, at first, I'm like, oh God, it's going to people are just going to, they do give their email or their phone number, but I was like, what are these going to do? It's just somebody that actually tripped into our website. And I thought about it. I said, well, they're on our website. And what we did is you guys helped me set up a Zapier, which is basically anybody that signs up on the website, because Luxury Presence has a Google sign-on form. I can't tell you, hundreds of people have signed up because of that one little thing. We couldn't get signups before. So now I'm like, well, wait a minute. If they're signing up, I'm going to do something really soft. And I'm going to say, hey, thanks for coming to the website. Here's our VIP program. If you're thinking about buying or selling, here's our blog. And then it just kind of gets them in there. Then they get into the blog, then they get the content. And I don't know if you've noticed, if you clicked on some of the blogs, there's always a call to action.
Yep.
So we're just showing a situation in Beverly Hills where a robbery went wrong, and it was caught on a camera from the neighbor's house. The guy falls off the ladder, falls in the pool, gets busted, But at the bottom of it's like, hey, don't know if you know this or not, but Calabasas Hidden Hills is, 90% gated, guard gated communities. So, check it out. And then we would put a banner ad that goes back to our Luxury Presence site that goes into gated communities. And so when you kind of get that cycle of stuff going, you can, grab some very specific people that are looking for certain things. And over time, as we grow that newsletter, every time we put it out there, we get a listing appointment. I swear to God, every time, once a month. And we only do it once a month. We don't hit them up hard, because we're also hitting them in our database with different content, with emails and stuff we have. So we just keep the monthly newsletter as a monthly newsletter. But one thing we've noticed in luxury, at least for our market, is that, there's one thing that, real estate related we have to do. And it's always about like what's going on with the market. Is it going to crash? All that kind of stuff. So we always have to have that. A lot of people like celebrity home stuff or celebrity restaurant stuff or whatever. So we always do that kind of a thing. People really like to forward the forwardable blogs to friends and stuff. So, it's like, hey, check out, this is the tiniest pool ever, or just dumb stuff, the biggest pool, which is like the size of a lake in some, in Saudi Arabia or something. We just find weird shit and we just, have fun with it. And then obviously hyper-local content. We feature local businesses, just to keep the economy going and locally. And everybody loves them so far. It's been great. We really enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And 70% open rate is pretty incredible. Don't know a lot of newsletters that get open rates that high, but I think what you're mentioning as far as finding these stories that are interesting that you can have a headline for. I think in the last one you had something about why the real estate market, why there won't be a recession that brings down the real estate market, right? And that's a headline that people are going to want to click on. It's a strong opinion, strongly worded, where at a minimum they're going to want to find out what your take is on that news story. So I think that's a great way to bring people in. And then obviously the local content works really well and goes hand in hand with the blog content, which is so crucial to SEO. And I want to talk about SEO for a second because you have really strong rankings in some very competitive markets in Hidden Hills, Calabasas, and so forth. How do you approach SEO, and does it still work?
We've been with you guys for a long time. And one thing we did early on by recommendation was really focus on every neighborhood. I'm like, what for? I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I didn't know when people move into our area, they're looking at there's the Oaks of Calabasas, there's Bellagio, there's the Ridge, there's Mountain View Estates. So when people when they're local and they're very specific, they'll actually Google that, what's this Bellagio community people told you about? Well, we outrank everybody, including Zillow, on some of the things, because we've been there the longest doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
And I think with just being there the longest, but also contributing to, local stuff that people actually care about. I think I think just from doing it all over the years that, we just rank a lot higher because that's what Google likes to see.
Yeah. And you do that plus the paid ads, obviously running some Google ads. Can you share across SEO and paid advertising, roughly how many leads you get per month?
It's interesting. It's all trial and error, so it depends on what it is. So instead of doing the typical pay-per-click, here's a pretty house. Let me just, get you in my trap of getting your email and phone number so I could chase you around and have you ignore me for 3 months. That's not fun. And that's what most of the pay-per-click campaigns do, But when you get very specific and you get into like micro community stuff where home valuations in very small areas, because then you can give market statistics, that helps out a lot. Simple stuff that you can do, like, coming soon. On the MLS, everyone knows that the coming soon listings don't syndicate to anything. It doesn't go into Zillow. It doesn't go anywhere. Only way you can see it is if you do it from the MLS and send it directly to your client. So nothing brainstorming there, but we'll put out an ad saying, hey, if you want to get some of this off market coming soon stuff, here's a coming soon. You can get it before your competitor, see it before everybody else, sign up here. And boy, they sign up. And all you got to do is put them on a coming soon email campaign for all the ones that you come in. And then in that campaign, obviously you got to call them and say, well, what are you looking for? And then you start getting the information and getting that conversation going. So, we don't get as many. They're a lot more expensive, but I'd rather have those, steaming hot leads versus, 100 of, people just kind of kicking the tires. Yeah. So I'm happy. I think we did a campaign with you just on a coming soon and a home market valuation. I don't know. It was like in a month, 30 to 60, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And we just have to fine tune it because sometimes you'll get one that's coming in from Texas. They're like, how'd that sneak in there? Someone wants a home valuation, but then, give them to a referral partner,
Right. And the website obviously is a crucial part of both paid ads and SEO. You can only do it with a great website. You've had yours with Luxury Presence now for over 5 years, maybe 6 or 7 years.
I think it's longer, actually. It's been a long time.
What would you tell other agents who are considering Luxury Presence about the experience that you've had?
I think the biggest comment I got about you is from the consumer. And then we have another one with the agent, but the consumers come in and they're just like, man, you have a beautiful website. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Who did that? Like, wow. And they have other businesses and they're like, hey, did they do high-end automotive? I'm like, I don't think so.
Oh, we just do real estate.
So it's a beautiful website, and same with the agents too. I get hit up all the time. Who does it? Why? There's a lot of really cool features, and we're actually like working on the back end. I'm working on the back end with your team on some really bitchin' ideas with referral program.
Hmm.
And there's so many agents out there that have luxury presence that are working in migrating markets from Los Angeles. We have a lot of people moving out right now because of stuff that's happening.
Yep.
Nashville, Austin, Boise, Las Vegas. So I'm reaching out to those partners, those luxury presence partners, and saying, hey, listen, I can syndicate your properties to the Glengarry leads of Los Angeles buyers. Don't your clients, would that help you if you go into a listing and say, in a listing presentation, I give you a beautiful 2-page thing that says, hey, I'm connected to the top 1% of clients through luxury presence, or top 1% of agents in the nation through my syndication through luxury presence. And I can take that and I can promote it, their
Yep.
property, through a feed that you guys had set up on our website. And I'm building up my referral network, and we get a referral. We've been getting, and I'm going to blow this up too, by the way, but we went from, 10% close rate for as far as our businesses being referrals. We're getting up to 30% now.
Wow.
From getting referrals from people all over the country. So we're really going to start to build that up, but there's cool stuff like that. That's part of what you guys do.
Yeah, that's great. And for the listeners, the feature that Jeff is talking about is the listing feeds feature, where we can syndicate listings between agents across the country and create the referral relationships that way. You also use the agent subdomains feature quite a bit. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So agents, really want the one thing when you're on a team, they're like, I want a website, and like, great.
Yeah.
And they'll go out and get the shittiest looking website that is not to brand, that is bottom line horrible. And I want to help them with their branding. And if they want to bring their price point up and they want to have that, that presence, that luxury presence, we've created for each agent, they got their sub-site on our site, which really is part of our website. So you get all that SEO juice and you get all that stuff. So I could literally take an agent on my team and give them SEO on freaking steroids just by having a sub-site for their own personal website, which they can call it anything they want. They can call it, John Real Estate or whatever, but it is connected to us in the back end and a lot of the tools that we have. And it has that same look of ours. So it's a subdomain of ours, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool feature because not only can I give them a website, good luck trying to build up your presence online with SEO and everything, because you're attached to our wagon and we literally just throw you on steroids and, please get as much eyeballs on your stuff as possible. And we direct anything on their websites for their listings or any kind of thing that they want to promote back to their subsite so that it lands into their buckets, basically. So that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. That's a great way to give your agents their own branding under the umbrella of your brand and let them benefit from a lot of the SEO rankings that have been built up. So I love that approach. The other tool that you're using is AI Lead Nurture. And I want to talk about just your experience with that. Obviously, it's a newer tool, but so powerful. And there's a lot of headlines about AI, and different companies are doing very interesting things with AI. Tell us more about how you are using the tool and what the experience has been so far.
So we did a pay-per-click campaign with you on a couple different things coming soon and home valuations. And so on the front end, or what I'm saying on the front end, but coming through luxury presence, when they come in, we don't even touch it. That's on your end. And it literally just starts asking them questions. So we'll find out if it's a real lead. And I've gotten leads in there saying, yes, I'm ready, 3 to 6 months. I don't have an agent. I have 8 bedrooms. I've updated the house. I'm like, whoa, so not only that, you guys also connected on the back end, everything about that client. So it grabs all their social media, their LinkedIn, just all tons of information. So, basically when you pull it up, if you have a conversation going, if it picked up, they have to put their phone number in there because it's a text, right? So it's a text conversation, disqualifying them. Super human sounding. It doesn't sound like AI or robot. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then you have all that back data. So now it's just such a better place for me to start that, and it's ready to go. That lead's ready to go. So that's a really cool feature.
Yeah. It's pretty uncanny how how it communicates via text. As a consumer, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that you're not communicating with a human. And then obviously has the warm handoff to the agent when the lead is qualified. Really exciting tool. What do you see in the future? Or what do you predict about the future of the real estate industry? And what are you most excited about when it comes to technology in particular?
It's funny. You're going to laugh when I tell you this is that, I think the technology is just turning into watching the Terminator or iRobot. It's getting a little like, whoa, slow down, turbo, right?
Mhm.
People like Dana, when I say people like Dana, like I can put something in front of her and she's like AI written. She could literally like just be the Google bot and just say, hey, that was written by AI. I could tell. She knows. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And especially me, she's like, you suck because all your emails are done so eloquently and everything. And I know it's not you. I'm like, well, part of it is, and so I use it to enhance, because I'm not the best wordsmith on the planet, but, it gets the point across and it does really make a difference. And when I'm creating content and everything, but what I do think is going to happen, and I don't know, this is an interesting thing that I'd love your opinion on, is that Google and all the search engines now are identifying if it's AI written.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is AI written, they push it down in the ranking further and further and further. And they're like, hey, and so the quality of something that was written by hand and with a human mind versus, accumulation of information from AI is going to blow up. And if I was to bet on something, I would probably invest my money on and promote a company that has actual writers and pay more money for that. Because if it is actual writers and it's not AI written and it's not AI detectable, your rankings in SEO are going to go through the roof, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's coming down the pipe very soon, if it's not already. So it's kind of getting back to basics. It's almost the anti-tech. And I love tech stuff. And I think a lot of this you can use, but as far as SEO and ranking and anything, even for when, talking to clients, I think if you do use AI robots, or any kind of AIs to say, hey, let them know it's AI so they know who they're talking to. People don't like to be fooled either,
Yeah.
and to say, I'm the AI assistant, or we just signed up for Sign More and they can go onto our luxury presence site and it's an actual person. It's the receptionist. And it's like, and it says right in there, hey, I'm a real person.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a question, ask me, and you'd be surprised. People are like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So, and I think that, building up, old school, getting your database, getting your sphere of influence, your waiting list built and getting top of mind. Cause think about like it's that 80-20 Pareto. Is it the Pareto rule? Is that what they call it?
The Pareto
80%.
principle.
Yeah. So, 80% of your business comes from 20%. So out of 250 people, 20% is 50. And we have a thing called the top 50. So 50 people in that database are going to be your cheerleaders. Those are the ones that you identify that are always like, hey, let me refer Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my best clients, I've never sold them a house, but they're referral maniacs, local business friends, and just friends of ours, so I've gotten 3 or 4 referrals in a year from someone year over year from someone I've never sold a house to. And he's gold, and then what do I do with that referral? Well, for $1 million, $1.5 million price point, and I have 50 people that give me one deal a year, and I close 40, a good percentage of them. That's a $30 to $50 million a year right there.
Yeah.
Nobody,
I agree. I think the personal relationships will become even more important in this next age where so much of the transactions will be handled by AI. Right? And my advice to agents that want to figure out how to use AI is just opportunities to use it for the tasks that you don't like doing.
Right.
Find ways to use it for admin work, for things that you don't have to do personally, and then spend more of your time on that 250 person wedding list, on making calls, on grabbing coffee with people, on creating content that is valuable. And AI can certainly assist, but I agree it shouldn't be your, it shouldn't be your sole copywriter.
No, it's not the same as a comparable as think about an artist, and let's just say what was the artist that just did the Grammy thing for Barbie? She's a really great singer. What's her name? Getting old. There's a singer that did that Barbie song with her brother. They sing.
Was that Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish, sorry. So imagine if Billie Eilish went into ChatGPT and said, "Hey, write me a song with the same chord structure that every Beatles song used, and give me some lyrics about New York in the fall and it's raining." That thing is going to plop out the biggest piece of shit song you've ever heard in your life because it's not human. There's nothing to it, right? It'll tell you maybe the good chords, and it'll give you the theory and maybe a basis. And you can ask it, "Hey, do it in the stylings of Leonard Cohen or something," right? It will try, but it does not deliver. So imagine if some of the artists that you appreciate, or Mick Jagger, anybody that started using AI to help them do their job and write their song to entertain you, you're going to see right through it and go, "This is garbage." Your soul, you're going to recognize it. People just see it, right?
Yeah.
So don't try to fool anyone with it. Write your own songs.
Yeah.
Use it to help you write the song maybe, but write your own songs.
Agreed. It's a tool, not a replacement.
Correct.
As we wrap up this conversation, is there a key lesson or a key piece of advice that you've learned along the way that you believe is important for aspiring agents or aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think it's all about just, keeping what you're doing it for. If the purpose you're doing this for is to be the biggest team or get the biggest trophy or to get on the biggest show, and it's about winning, and it's about winning against the other agent and all that kind of stuff, you're lost. And that's cool, whatever. But, we teach the agent just to be there for the consumer, which is why we take the time to give them and earn their trust and value. Yeah. They don't care if I put out and say, "Oh, I just sold another big house." Boring. You know what I mean? That's just like my buddy that's in insurance putting a post every day, like, "Just sold another policy." I'm like, "Well, dude, that's your job. I don't give a shit," Yeah. But it's really just, it's the focus on the consumer. And I still completely get out. It makes me so happy. One of my agents, sell that first big deal that they do, or just do their first deal, and they get this great testimonial and there's pictures of them on the front step and they did something for the client. I'm more excited about that than me doing a $30 million deal. And because that just moves the marbles for me. But yeah, just focusing on the end game, which is why you're doing this. If you're in it for the right reason, you will be extremely successful because you love what you do and you love the people that you're doing it for. And my job as a leader for our team, or one of the co-founders, is just to kind of keep it back to the basics. There's all sorts of cool stuff. And I wanted to, this company that I'm using, called StackWrap. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff out there. What they do is they put it into one place. So if you're a big team or a small team, or even just an agent, that uses a lot of stuff, it's your one source of truth. So our agents can now log into one place. Where's the marketing system? Oh, yeah. I need to do an open house. They fill out a form. They don't have to search in 15 different folders. They don't have to, kind of figure out where this is. And with AI, it's really awesome because they can just literally go in the interface of the software and type in open house form or seller checklist, anything. And it will search the whole, index the whole website, find it, and give you all the options for it. And they love it because it just makes their life so much easier. And it keeps them accountable. They wake up every day and they'll say, "Good morning, Malti. It's the second week of the month. Call your B clients. There's 32 of them here in your bucket and follow-up, boss. Empty it." That's what you do this week. That's it. We keep it like a coloring book. But if you haven't checked out StackWrap, buddy of mine, Max, is the, it's his brainchild basically, but we love it. And we also can offer a code fee on that too as well. So discount.
Cool. Jeff, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate you sharing all of the tips and strategies and giving us the behind the scenes of how you run your team and how you do marketing. I know there are a lot of agents and team leaders out there who will benefit from the information. To our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to subscribe to the Presence Podcast to catch our future episodes. And if you found today's conversation valuable, please take a moment to leave us a review. It helps us reach more people like yourself. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time.
Take care, everybody.